Ooh, there we go. Good evening, everybody. It's DH Thorne coming at you live with another beautiful Thursday evening power stream for everybody who's interested, excited, looking forward to the apocalypse and everything in between. So hopefully everybody's having a good night. It looks like people are talking about Thorne's Day and Jupiter's Day and all that kind of good stuff. All very accurate. It's also Thor's Day. Thor, Jupiter, Zeus. Quite a few deities fall under that category from different cultures, times, places in history. Indra. I forget if Marduk does, but definitely I believe Enlil and quite a few others. They all kind of vibe together, don't they? Whew. All right. Well, it's kind of weird not having somebody to talk to tonight. So we'll see how long I go. But as per usual, now that we have sort of popped the cherry of being censored all over the fucking place, between Facebook and YouTube and everything else, from here on out, every Thursday we will do about an hour, hour and a half on YouTube, and then around 11:30 we go live on Rumble. What's that?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Audio's good, says the sound engineer wife. So every Thursday night after the first hour or so, we go to Rumble for the second half. Those of you who don't know, the link is both in the description and the pinned comment at the top. So if you are new here, make sure you give me a subscription. You know, give me that nice thumbs up and subscription on both this YouTube channel, this YouTube video, and on Rumble. So the topic of this first half anyway is the question that I don't think anybody has asked me personally, but I get the feeling some people wonder: has Thorne gone love and light? It's a good question. That's a really good question. Let me ask you guys what the point of the left-hand path really is. What is the point? And what is the contrast between the left-hand path and the love and light? We talk mockingly about love and light, but why do we do that? Is it because the concept of love and light is wrong? Is it wrong? Are they wrong? Is the principles, the general principles of love and light wrong? Of course not. The idea that all is love doesn't deny the dark side. It doesn't deny taboo. It doesn't deny any of the things that the left-hand path is known for. When we're talking about love, we're talking about quite a few things. We're not talking about love. That's not what we're talking about. And we're not talking about love in the exclusive sense. And we're talking about love in a higher sense. Anyone who has experienced a transcendental moment, anyone who has, you don't even have to hit Toria or even ego death. And there's things I haven't done. I haven't done shrooms or anything, but everybody who's ever done them always remarks that when one achieves a certain state of realization, one feels not just a connection to all things, but a kind of love. But that love isn't, like I said, it's not even, oh, I like you so much love. In the Eastern tradition, in Hinduism, it is said that Brahman, in other words, the absolute, that consciousness, that absolute being that we all really are, is really only discernible or describable via three different natures: Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means existence, Chit means consciousness, and Anand means bliss. By bliss is a love feeling. It's sort of corollary to the word love. But don't worry, Christian, it actually probably will, because this is just a placeholder for whatever I do next. But it won't be removed because I'm mad at that or anything else. But you also have to realize that when I began this channel, you know, I'm a work in progress. I don't know, you know, which one of you motherfuckers is a static image that doesn't change and doesn't evolve? Because if you are, you're a fucking moron. Everyone evolves and everyone changes. Do I sound love and light, by the way? Fuck you. Everybody grows, evolves, and changes over time. And when I first entered into this industry, into this community, into this bullshit called the internet, talking about basically when I first started out, I was doing this mostly for me as a way to document and get validation for what I was doing. It wasn't a business. It wasn't anything like that. I started off with a blog, which I retired, and I'll probably reboot sooner or later because I'm distracted. There's things in my life going on. But when I started out, started out putting my thoughts into blog posts, and I got some attention and I got a lot of praise for them. And I said, you know what? I can enjoy doing this full time. Thank you, Maiden Liberty. Fuck the hell out of all of you. For any of you guys who watch, like I've sort of got a guilty pleasure and addiction to watching Infinite Waters, Ralph Smart. He's a pretty good guy. And I feel like I'm like the yin version to his yang. That's how I see myself like moving in that direction, like being the dark side version of him. A little bit, not exactly. Definitely not exactly, but I appreciate that guy. Appreciate the hell out of him. So when I began all of this, I was reacquainting myself with my dark side because I had become disempowered for several years by life. I had gone, fully into rational skeptic mode for about 15 years following a tumultuous period of everything. And at some point, that wasn't the truth. I knew it wasn't. I knew it wasn't enough. And so I began exploring secular spirituality. In other words, non-religious spirituality, rational spirituality, spirituality that wasn't debunked. And I did my research. I was like, well, what spiritual paths aren't debunked? Like what? And everyone was saying, well, Buddhism's pretty good because it's pretty, it doesn't really claim anything about afterlife necessarily. Some schools of it do, but on its fundamental level, it's a humanistic thing and meditation's good for you. And so I allowed myself to indulge in that as a way to sort of get right with myself. Plus I like martial arts and, Eastern philosophy fits with that very well, fits with that image very well. And this was like, quite a while ago now. Going on, I guess it was around 2016. So a little bit before that, probably 2015, 2014, 2015, going on almost 10 years ago now. And something clicked and I had an awakening and I realized that I was a fool for all of that pseudo skepticism that I had indulged in for 15 years. Yes, it was a necessary step. I'm not bemoaning that. I don't think it was wrong of me. I didn't waste any time. If anything, by being a hard skeptic for a while, like a pseudo skeptic, I essentially created a library of arguments that required me to overcome in order to believe, let alone know, the things that I now know and believe. So in other words, whereas when I was younger, I was just a dipshit who believed whatever spooky shit sounded cool and what people told me, now I was armed to the teeth with arguments against literally everything that I talk about now. Think about that. And the fact that spirituality was able to reassert itself in a balanced way, so I didn't lose my rational and skeptical mindset, while simultaneously applying that to my spirituality, that was like putting rocket fuel in a firecracker. Like it just went, from put to and everything was history. But there was still something missing because I was indulging more in this lofty Buddhist, humanist, benevolent nihilism because I didn't have any higher belief. It was just well, there is no God, there's no point to anything, so let's do the best we can, which is fine. That's a good attitude to have when you don't know. When you're starting out, good attitude. But it felt empty still, and I felt weak. I felt like I was this pathetic guy that had left a piece of himself on the battlefield of, life and spirituality. I had allowed myself to become a doormat in a lot of areas of my life. Not just at work, not just at this, I mean inside. I had abandoned, not just abandoned, I had taken my own dark side, and like someone who had just stolen or just stolen a jewel out of a safe and is trying to get out of the place, I swallowed that dark side. And I felt it down in there, but it wasn't getting any, everybody who's on a real spiritual path knows what happens when you swallow your dark side. What happens? It eats you up inside. It doesn't have an outlet, and you end up being more and more prone to giving into its impulses from the inside out, because when you don't shed a light on that dark side, when you don't give that dark side an outlet, what does it do? It takes over. That's the irony. And likewise, if you just give into it fully, that's just as bad. Listen to me very carefully. Everybody who's like, I don't think even any of you are shaking your heads, but anybody who might be, when you go look on Facebook and look at the fucking edgelords, people say, I'm an edgelord. I wear the smock of an edgelord, but I back it up. Most of these other motherfuckers, and I don't mean this to diss anybody specifically, I won't name any names, but I see them all over the fucking place, all over the internet, my pact with Satan, this and that. Dude, it's a bunch of, I'm not saying that they don't believe, and I'm not saying that it's not legitimate for them, but a lot of them, some of them are LARPers, to be brutally honest with you. Some of them literally are LARPing. They're edgelord LARPers, or they're just immature edgelords. That doesn't mean their path is wrong. Please understand, I am critical not of the person right now, but of the way that they prosecute these things, because I've been there. Why can Thorne talk about this? I'm not being a hypocrite. I'm criticizing myself. This is what people don't realize. When I was 18, I was like every other one of these wannabe black magic, edgelord type of motherfuckers, but I had a good heart, So I thought. And a lot of these people, especially when you're talking about like the 40, 50 somethings that are still doing this crap, there's a few of them out there. If they ever met real evil, they would shit every inch of their fucking pants. Some of these people have never left their own little backyard of life. Some of you guys like Ninurta probably, I think, if we're just judging by our conversations and stuff, he knows the dark side of life. He's been on the wrong side of the tracks like I have. We know, and I only know a little bit. Like I was only exposed to it for a little while. But that little taste was enough for me to know, yeah, you know what? There is such a thing as, look, there's dressing like a bad guy, but being a good guy inside, and then there's an actual bad person, right? What's the difference? There's actually something that, and I know Jordan Peterson's not a fan favorite with a lot of people, because a lot of people on the left-hand path see him as like some kind of, or a lot of people in this community see him as some kind of a, whatever. They got a lot of reasons to be biased against him, but he says occasionally, quite often actually, some good points. And one of the ones that he made that was very good was, don't call yourself a fucking pacifist if you're not capable or willing to fight. A pacifist is someone who's a pacifist by choice. Okay, that's a true pacifist. Somebody who's a pacifist because they're a coward or they can't fight is not a real pacifist. And by the same token, someone who is good because they're scared of the world, they're scared of being a bad person, or they're scared of letting their dark side out, or because they're incapable of being dark, doesn't make them good. And likewise, someone who has never known evil, has never touched evil, is incapable of evil, calling themselves a dark side motherfucker, you're a liar. How many people are out there in the internet land that wear the smock of evil, but if you use the wrong pronoun or the wrong word, it's World War fucking III. How many of these people get triggered over you're insensitive, you're this, you're that, closed practice? Look and listen very carefully. A truly enlightened, magus, powerful sorcerer, mystic, sage, witch, warlock, whatever the fuck you want to call yourself, transcends that shit. They'll play like I play in it. I play in the dirt all the time. You see me making posts about social shit all the time. But a lot of these people, you can look, I know how to manipulate people pretty good when I want to. I refrain from it. I don't like doing it anymore. But one of the easiest tricks, you want to fuck somebody up in any kind of conflict, you find what pushes their buttons so it makes them stupid. You say the thing that's going to make them pop, and you break them. Or you weasel your way in, and you say the platitudes that they want to hear. They want to hear you use the safe words. They want to hear you use the soft language. Or they don't like that maybe some people don't like some of the extremes of some of the gender this or the political that. And what you do is you pretend. You wear that little sheep's clothing and you go in there and then you stab them in the back. I'm not saying I'm invincible. I'm not saying I don't have any flaws or that I don't have any triggers or anything like that. What I'm saying is that someone who is achieving true mystical gnosis and ascension it's a completely different story. You see, the left-hand path is a tool. It's a philosophical, behavioral, metaphysical tool. It is a tool for the seeker to investigate the darkest side of their being. If you're on the left-hand path because you think it's all about, hail Satan, let's all do evil shit, you're stupid. And Jose just asked a pertinent question. I'm sort of getting to that point. The left-hand path is a tool. Think of it like you're spelunking for lost gold, or think of it like you're going into the darkness to reveal your own light. It's like immersion therapy for someone with a phobia. And we all have this phobia. This isn't a phobia only one or two of. This is literally a universal phobia. It's a way to practice radical acceptance of the truth of reality. That's what the left-hand path is a tool for. This is why I get bent out of shape when people say, I'm not left-hand path or right-hand path. I hate labels. Yes, you're so fucking elevated. You're so fucking superior, motherfucker. Because you don't subscribe to that shit. Have you done the depth? Have you done the deep dive? Have you done the shadow work that is only possible from the left-hand perspective? I don't fucking think so. So when I say I'm on the left-hand path, do you hear what I'm saying? I'm on the left-hand path? Does that linguistic little thing help you there? On? Just underline the word on. I am on the left-hand path. And at some point, the left and the right-hand paths, I've said this from day motherfucking one. At some point, both left and right-hand paths end up at the same holy mountain, and you got to climb that mountain. You're still not done. All of us, and Eddie said this, he said this very well, we all fluctuate between left and right-hand path process. We all do. What is the sinister, which is left? What does the left-hand path mean? You are practicing radical acceptance of the truth of reality, and it's not always pretty. It means you go and you look at those things that make you uncomfortable. That doesn't mean you do them necessarily. It doesn't mean that you endorse them necessarily. It means that you confront, not to shock and hurt yourself. You still have to do things in a measured way. Look, there's things I still won't look at, not because they're necessary. Well, maybe they will make me uncomfortable. I will have to admit that. You will look into things that make you uncomfortable so that you can recognize where your blind spots are, where your capabilities are. You see, the right-hand path talks a lot about honesty as a virtue, but they're talking about external honesty, telling you the truth, or calling other people out on lies. Oh boy, is that a great way to look like you're on the love and light right-hand path side of things. That person's a liar. They're a racist. Ooh. You know, whenever somebody does that finger point at someone specific, like when you see somebody do, we have to call it out. When someone says that, there's exceptions, but when someone says that, a very large majority of the time, that finger should be going like this, because they're trying to point to themselves how virtuous they are by calling someone else out. You notice I hardly ever name names unless I think there's a genuine safety concern to my community, or if I've been involved with something that I regret or have to correct. I'm never going to be like, such and so is a bad occultist, that person's a dick. Very rarely anyway. My peers are my peers, good or bad. It's not my job to correct them, with few exceptions. I admit to those. But I don't do it for clout, and I don't do it for attention, and I don't do it to be like, look at them, they're so bad. I would never do that. No. The left-hand path is about absolutely radical motherfucking sincerity and honesty with yourself. It's admitting those things that you should be ashamed of. Tell yourself. You don't have to tell the whole world, God, and everybody. Maybe you got a hang up that society would frown upon if they knew about it. Maybe you, I don't know, pick something. Maybe you have maybe you like watching, I'm trying to think of, I'm watching snuff films, or trying to think of something bad, you know what I mean? You like what? Maybe you like watching dog fighting or something. I don't, but maybe that's you. And you know society would hate that shit if they found out. Well, you got to admit that to yourself. And you've got to admit it to yourself in a way that you integrate it and don't push it away. What does it mean to integrate it? It means you don't let it control you, because you know it's wrong. You know society won't tolerate it. You know it would hurt you if you did it, or would hurt an innocent if you did it. And so therefore you would like to refrain from doing it, because you're sane. You're not a psychopath. Psychopath's a different story. You're sane. You're not a psychopath, but you got some hang up. You got some interest. You got some possible tendency that society says is taboo. Well, I got news for you. There's two ways to handle it. You can either reject it and squish it down deep inside yourself and pretend it's not there, where it gets to work its magic on you, wrap itself around your fucking energy self, wrap itself around your spine and take over you eventually, and then just comes out one day. That happens all the time. Love and light motherfuckers are the first ones to flip the switch and go off on you over the dumbest shit. They have no self-control half the time because they've never actually had to put their fists up for any reason other than to point fingers. So left-hand path is just a path. The right-hand path is equally valid. It's just not as effective in this world. Certainly not by itself. Neither one is effective by itself. You cannot prosecute either path by itself forever. You have to go. Remember, this is a winding path to that holy mountain. Most of us start our lives in a situation where we are indoctrinated with right-hand path platitudes, taboos, morality, so on and so forth. Dogmatic beliefs, especially in religious societies, you know, certain religions in particular are really all about dogmatic faith and bullshit. It's all just mind control. But you're brought up in that instills in you sort of like your base programming, your operating system, so that you can function in this world. The problem is we all have virus in us. We all have a virus in us. Now, one of those viruses is a mind virus of religion and society. Yes, but there's also the religion. There's also the mind virus of your own internal insanity, evil, stupidity, and so on. And if you don't confront that and work on it, it will rule you. Now, this is not a war. The right-hand path would make that a war. Destroy your evil side. The left-hand path says, no, wait a minute. That's a part of me. I don't want to kill that. So this is why I say I'm on the left-hand path. It's a temporary condition. It is a tool. It's like saying I'm on vitamin C, or I'm taking this class. But it is a lifelong process because you will come and go with it. It's just I am looking because I've already lived the right-hand path life for at least half of my life, off and on. Because when I was younger, I had no concept of left or right-hand path. I didn't care. I did as I wilt, and half the time it was stupid. The other half, it was dumb. So at some point, you have to, like Jasonius just said, you need both light and dark. There's no question. But I still will mock anybody who says, I'm neither light nor dark. I'm balanced. No, you're not. No, my friend. No, you're not. Look, I'm not saying I am. What I'm saying is I'll know when I see somebody who truly is. You know, that motherfucker, maybe that motherfucker with the bald head sitting and facing the wall 8 hours a day for his whole life, maybe he's balanced. Maybe that guru living in a cave that don't care about what you think or believe and just does his thing, and anybody who comes to him who's worthy will teach, maybe that motherfucker is balanced. You, some internet nobody like me, you're not balanced, you're not equalized, you're not on neither path, you're just ignorant of the path. You're ignorant of either side. And I don't care if you're offended. Good, be offended. Prove me wrong. Prove to me how balanced you are by going, just take it on the chin. Because if you're that balanced, you don't care what I think. You know you're perfect already. See what I mean? And I've often said, people say, I'm on neither side. I don't subscribe to the left hand. That sounds very left-hand path to me, because left-hand path, it tends to be quite independent and individualistic. So, and like Christian just said, I wouldn't be doing love and life, I think he meant love and light stuff now, if I hadn't known what is the shadow first. Reminds me of John 1:5, and the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. The point here, and it's a brilliant quote, it's a brilliant point. What did I say in the beginning? Why do you take the left-hand path? Why do you go into the darkness so that you find your own light? Then you realize, you know what? It really does suck to hurt other people, doesn't it? It really does suck to hurt the innocent. It really does. There's some part of me that's not okay with that. There's some part of me, I'm not okay with that. You start to realize, like, you know what? Why is the left-hand path the left-hand path? Why is evil evil? Why is good good? Why is any of this anything? You start asking the important questions. And for a little bit, you're going to sound like a moral relativist. But all the enlightened masters will tell you the same thing, at least in the traditions that I ascribe to. There is no good or evil in the absolute sense. There's good and evil in the manifest sense. If you don't know the difference, think about it. We experience things and we say, that's good, that's evil. And we can have an objective agreement on that as a society, as individuals. And when we really reduce it down, what makes something good and what makes something bad? Is it goodness always benefits us? No, sometimes the best thing for us hurts. Sometimes the thing that is the most good in life doesn't feel good, and it doesn't make us happy, and it doesn't make us better in some way. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is to get hurt real bad, to get disabled, to get this and that. Sometimes that's exactly what you need. No one would say that that's a good thing. Who in their right mind would say it's a good thing that that bad thing happened to you? Especially if it's something really heinous, right? But what if that thing was the only way for you to develop real compassion and sincerity? What if the only way for you to become a kind and truly compassionate being was to have the worst day of your life happen? So at the highest level of understanding, the divine is neither good nor evil, nor is it both. The divine is free. It's not even just free will. Free will implies that there's something else to be liberated from. For the divine, there is only the will or only freedom, not, there's no conflict. It is beyond free. It transcends freedom or will. It just is. And what is what is. And this mirage that we call reality is a play. It is a game that it plays with itself. Not for just entertainment, but for what? Bliss. And what is bliss? It is completion. It is contentment. It is love. Well, don't we sometimes love things that are a little bit against the rules a little bit? Huh? So what makes you good or evil? What makes you right or wrong? What makes you love and light versus dark and whatever? Hate. What is the difference? So you have to understand, if you're walking the left-hand path and you're walking it because you want to run away from love and light, you just got sucked into one of the best tests and crucibles there is, and you're probably going to fail, or you're failing until you figure it out. If you think the point of the left-hand path is to take a shit on goodness or love or light in the genuine sense, get the fuck off of my stream, because you do not understand. You're an idiot. And I guarantee you I could prove it to you in about 25 seconds. If there was no laws to contend with, I would make you wish that I was a good person. I'd make you beg God for mercy. And you would pray and you would swear that you would do the right thing for the rest of your life. And you know why I can say that with such conviction? Because I've walked the left-hand path long enough to know what I'm capable of. And I know most of you are not. Not you guys necessarily. Maybe some of you guys are capable of worse. There is a savage, bloodthirsty, tormentous beast that I used to keep in a cage. No, now I go, wait your turn. So don't ever tell me you're some kind of badass warlock gonna curse my motherfucker, I come from the wish a bitch would. I will string you up. Metaphorically speaking, of course, Miss YouTube controlling system. But I choose not to. I choose my battles. I entered this scene saying, I don't do wrong to the innocent, but if you're a rabid dog, I will relish. Not a single one of these people, unless they're psychotic and thus a rabid dog, means that. Every single person that I know, and I say this with kindness in my heart now, because I see you. I see you guys on Facebook. I see what you care about. I see what you care about in Discord. I see all of you guys with your skeletons and your pentagrams and your Hail Satans. You're all like, I love the puppies. I love this. You're normal. You're good people at heart. There's love and light in there. Don't deny it. Don't try to kill that to fit some bullshit edgelord picture of yourself. Well, yes, hardcore zombie, you do, but he says it's time to keep beast with the cage open. Yes, but not until that beast is tamed. Not until that beast is trained. Not until that beast is on the same page as you. You're not supposed to like cajole it and stranglehold it and put it on a chain. You're supposed to get that beast to want to do what you want it to do. There's a great line. There's this musician, Ludvoco Technique. Not everybody likes him, but I love him. One of his songs starts out with, I don't want you to do what I tell you. I want you to want to do what I tell you. And that's how I feel towards my dark side. I don't want you to just do what I want you to do. I want you to want to do what I want you to do. Because I'm God, not you. You're just an aspect, a shadow of mine. See, true integration doesn't control the dark side. It keeps the dark side in line with the light side. It keeps them as a beautiful, harmonious act of genuine sincerity. Always, always aligned with love. And sometimes, listen, love is not the opposite of hate. Love and hate are they're not even polar. I know it sounds like they are, but they are one and the same thing. You can't love without hate. You can't hate without love. So whatever they are, they're the same thing. They're two sides of the same coin. So I guess they're polarities, but they're not opposites. I can love somebody and hate their fucking guts, can't you? Don't you know somebody like that in your life that you love, but you fucking hate their guts? Of course you do. We all do. So they're not opposites. They don't cancel each other out like opposites usually do. In the end, a left-hand path person understands that in a way that a right-hand person doesn't. At least if that's all they've ever done. And I've never met anybody who's only left-hand path. Did you know that? How many of you know one person? I challenge you to name one person that was born, raised, lived, and will die only on the left-hand path. Nobody does. Nobody. And if you aim me at some psychopath, that's not left-hand path. They're just sick. They got a screw loose. For a human, anyway. If they're like a crocodile, it's a different story. So tell that, so to speak. Tell that to the motherfucker with the pentagrams and the skeletons and talking about what a badass they are. I'm an elevated, ascended being of darkness and blah, blah. Prove it. Go do some charity work. Prove it. You don't like to hear that, do you? People who've been there and back recognize our own. We recognize when someone is real, when someone is full of shit, when someone is speaking platitudes, when they're doing it for clicks. Like they say, game recognizes game, real recognizes real. I'm not special. The only thing that makes you special is that I know that. That's all. That's the only special thing I've got going. So if you're on the left-hand path and your whole point is to just be a dark, evil motherfucker sacrificing kittens on your barbecue, someone like me will eventually run into you. And you're going to cry. Because the only thing scarier than a psycho, is someone who is so in tune with their dark side that they like the sound of a squealing psycho. Because they know that if someone doesn't do it, that psycho is going to hurt someone that matters to them. And I won't lose sleep over it. In fact, I might play the sound back on a recorder to help lull me to sleep. And this is the hard part, is realizing that all of you have a little piece of that in you. And if you don't know that you, like, I'm saying that like, oh, Thorne's talking badass. He's so dark. Ooh, we got a badass over here. No, every one of you have that in you. Every single one of you have that in you. And if you tell me you don't, you're a liar. You just haven't found it yet, or you're a liar. It's one or the other. Every single one of you, have pushed to the right point and really dig deep inside yourself, you'd pull the wings off of you'd pull the limbs off of anybody if they really, if you felt that they had it coming. I'm not saying that as an endorsement that that's what you should do in life. I'm saying that some people can. Not because they're evil, not because they're psycho, but because they've integrated that shit. You know, there's two kinds of people that I know generally go to war in life, become soldiers, go to war. They go and they kill. Some of them, they're weird. They like it. They like the murder. They like the chaos. They like the, you know. And other people, they go in there with lofty ideals. That probably would have been me if I had gone into the military at a young age. I would have gone in there with some lofty ideals and I would have had my whole shit scattered, pushed in, the whole works. But every once in a while, you get that person who's so integrated with what they're doing that it doesn't, that they don't lose sleep over it. They don't get, you know, PTSD over the bad things that they did. Maybe over the shell shock. Yeah, maybe over the bombs going on. But they don't get it over the, I had to kill that guy or he was going to kill. They don't lose sleep over that. Every single one of you. I've never met anybody that didn't have that side to them. And anybody who says that they don't, they're the ones you got to watch out for, because they don't even know that that beast is in a chain, in a cage, or nothing. So it's not even bottled up. They are ignorant that it's in there. These are the motherfuckers that you see go off and hurt somebody for no reason. That's them. That's worse than the right-hand path. At least the right-hand path has some discipline about it. So don't brag to me, I'm neither one. Really? Are you sure? Are you sure? All right, let's check the time. We might have to go to Rumble soon. No, we're good. I'm going to be doing Rumble at 11:30. So 11:30 Eastern is Rumble tonight.
Gotcha.
So thereabouts. It might be a little bit 5-10 minutes in either direction, but it's going to be about 11:30.
I'll try to keep an eye on it.
So do I sound love and light to you? Think about it. What do I sound like? I sound dark probably to a lot of you. What you don't see is that in my heart is just a genuine concern and compassion for any innocent, any person who is not a psychotic, rabid dog, out of control, dipshit. Anyone who doesn't deserve. I don't care if you're left, right, what country or religion you're from. I have a genuine compassion for this world, or it wouldn't break my heart to see it tearing itself apart right now. Do you think I care about me? I have nothing. I'm a little humble guy living in a cottage. I make just above minimum, right about minimum wage. I don't make much. I don't have much. I'm just some guy. I fuck up a lot of shit in my life. I do a lot of dumb things. I'm not the most spectacular. Maybe I got a big brain. Maybe I'm wise. Maybe I got these things going for me, but I'm not special. And certainly not in the world's eyes. I don't have anything to lose. If there's a mushroom cloud outside my window, yeah, it'll be a shock and a horror, but at the same time, I ain't losing much. No. That doesn't mean what it sounds like. I'm saying I'm not attached to much. I have my wife. I have my dog. I have my kid. I have my family, my mom, my squishy collection, my wife's squishy collection, my work. But I also know what comes next, and it's not bad. The only thing that would make it bad is if you have regrets. Remember it's just like the Egyptian, when you die, you get your heart weighed against a feather. When you die and there's regrets in your heart, you did a lot of harm to people and you know it. There's a lot of guilt. You got to work through that. That's your shadow work you didn't do. And all of us go with at least a little bit. But there's an amount that's okay. That's why it's a feather. It's not a zero. It's not a nothing. It's a light feather. There's a little bit. You can have a little bit. If you didn't have a little bit, you wouldn't be deserving of peace. You wouldn't know what peace was. You'd already be at peace. Get it? That's right. I'm a bozo, Order the Black Dragon, and I'm proud of it. I like that. You're an insightful big mouth. I got a big mouth. Who likes the Honeymooners? I fucking love the Honeymooners. I grew up on the Honeymooners. Honeymooners and Star Trek. Like, I think when I die and go into whatever the afterlife is, like, I like the movie What Dreams May Come. And I love Robin Williams. I love his little heaven. Like, I would definitely want that as my backyard, at least a piece of it. But in that little hut, man, Honeymooners and Star Trek would probably be on repeat, like, a lot. So is Thorne going love and light? Motherfucker, I always have been. I never stopped. I'm just not a superficial dipshit that wears love and light on my sleeve because I'm afraid of the dark or because I don't want to be labeled wrong. Sometimes the true teachers in life look like scary evil things because they're testing you. My favorite characters are the ones that are misunderstood. They look scary and evil, and yet they have a heart of gold. I love those. Those are my favorite characters. The ones that society fears, but they are ultimately good. Love those characters. Oh, you know I'm Gen X maiden. There's no question. I'm a young Gen X, to be fair. I'm almost a millennial. I'm like 3 years away from millennial, but, you know. Uh-oh. Turn that off.
That just turned on.
It does that now and then. Either that or somebody's hacking our house. That'd be pretty funny.
Good luck.
Yeah, come on in.
You're not going to find anything.
Well, even if you do, the first thing you'll find is a tomahawk in your face. Now, Jason earlier said something, and I'm going to analyze him here for a second. He said, true, DH, us infantrymen typically heard that calling. Honestly, a lot of us get desensitized, and it grows a lot of confidence because we realize we are capable of doing things others do not have. Now, I've never been in that. I haven't been tested in that crucible. I don't know what I would do. I might ball up in an ass bowl and cry myself to sleep every day if I was in real combat. I get that. I've been in real conflict, but not that. So I don't know. Remember, radical honesty is what you need to be on the left-hand path. You have to be sincerely honest about everything, your good and your bad. So I'm not going to compare myself to you and say I could do that. I don't know if I could have done that. But I'm going to challenge you something. Would you brave a dangerous situation to risk a puppy that means nothing to you? Using this desensitized power, would you wade through a bad situation to rescue an innocent? And if you did, why? Or if you didn't, why not? I'm not saying you can't be pragmatic about it. I am not someone who says you're supposed to sacrifice yourself for everybody. All I'm saying is do you use that power now for a love and light purpose? And if so, why? And if not, why? I don't mean to save the world. Remember, saving the world is not the goal. That's an egotistical position. To be in a position where you go, I need to save everybody, I need to save the world, I know what's best for everybody, that's ego, that's bullshit, that's not what I'm talking about. Real compassion and real genuine goodness is not a pre-planned, pre-staged event that you do because you want to feel good. No, it's an intuitive impulse. It just happens. It comes out automatically. I've always, I don't want to say, I am tooting my horn a little bit, but it's just to give you an example. I've always had an instinctive, immediate response to intervene, which is one reason why I was a bouncer for a while and a security guard for a while, is because I always had an instinct. Not because I want to save the world, but because when I see it, I go, oh, not today, motherfucker. Plus, it gives my dark side a chance to play. You don't feel any guilt when your dark side comes out against the right people. You don't feel it at all. You sleep soundly. When you're pushing that bully's rib in and it's tickling their diaphragm and they're having a hard time breathing because you're on their chest, you don't sit there and go, oh, I feel so bad. No. You also don't necessarily sit there and put it on the wall as a trophy either. But you certainly don't go to sleep feeling bad. Now, what if you did that to someone who didn't really deserve it? I like that, Ninurta. He says, if you're scared of the dark, you're afraid of facing your soul. That's pretty deep, guys. Listen to that one right there. That one should go in your book of life quotes. It's not because it's what God wants. It's not because of any of that stuff. Genuine love and light comes from within. You don't need to be told. You don't need to know why it's important. It's not about satisfying some moral code. Moral codes are training wheels for evil people. Moral codes are training wheels for psychopaths and sociopaths. That's all they are. A truly integrated person doesn't need moral codes at all. In fact, they laugh at things like the Ten Commandments, like, you need to be told? You telling me I don't know what the difference between murder, self-defense, justified killing? You telling me that I need to be explained, have this explained to me? Weak link, what was straight out of Carl Jung's mouth? I don't know, because I haven't read much Carl Jung. A lot of people say that I do a lot of Carl Jung-y oriented stuff, and I am a fan of the little bit that I know. But yeah. Nina asks, so what's changing, DH? Are you changing your logo and merch? Eventually, yeah. I'm changing my whole platform. The guy you're talking to right now is still going to be here, the same old thing, but I am no longer moved and motivated by the same outer forms. And I have evolved. Since 2018, remember what I was getting at. I kind of lost my train there when I was talking earlier when I started. When I first began this project, we'll call it a project, it was really just to have a record and just to have some validation and some feedback and to feed my ego a little bit and sounding like I'm a cool badass that does black magic and all this stuff. And I liked what I saw. And it was a good way for me to practice this left-hand investigation. But since 2018, I have seen the rise and fall of my country, the rise and fall of so many things, and I have seen my own darkness rear its ugly head again, becoming an egotistical motherfucker who was plotting and scheming to become a huge star in the left-hand path community. Yes, for a little while that was in the back of my mind. Cannot deny it. And I saw myself reaching towards that. And I heard the whispers of power, the whispers of promise, the whispers of, you know, do this and we can. I heard all that. Then the 2020s began to happen. And I entered my latest dark night of the soul. And I realized that the sum of all fears was occurring. And here I was, in many ways, propagating the work of my enemy in life. I'm not saying that the people that are doing the things in this world right now are satanic in literal form. I am not saying that they are, you know, what the Christians say about them. That's too stupid. That doesn't make any, they don't know what they're talking about. Yet at the same time, I cannot deny that the tools and systems that we have been handed down are archaic, outdated, and many of them are administered to you by people who either don't know what they're talking about or they do, and they're leading you astray into the dark to be consumed by their own egregores, by their own whims and policies and plans. It's actually reached a point where I can no longer, in good conscience, work with the symbolism of the past the way I did. I am now reaching a point where I must reinvent and invent my own style, method, symbolism. That doesn't mean I don't draw from other things, but I draw from things that are truly valid, truly verified by me, things which I now have connection to, new entities, new gnosis, new realization. I can no longer sit there and go, Kabbalah this, Hermeticism. Well, I can still go Hermeticism. The philosophy is fine. The philosophy of Kabbalah is fine. But I mean, I can no longer go like the Goetia. Fuck that. I'll never probably touch that again. I'm done. I look at that now and I'm like, I'd rather work with Lovecraft spirits or something. And even that, I look at pagan religion, I go, that's not the truth. That's just a metaphor of truth. I can't work with that anymore. I can celebrate and enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. It's sort of like knowing that Superman isn't real, but still enjoying the show anyway, but you don't go out there in a cape and try to act like it, you know? So I've left a lot of things behind that I won't probably pick up again. To me, they seem like children's coloring books now. Yes, I said that. You know how arrogant that must sound to some people? Some people spend their whole lives going through the various degrees and motions of these different things, and a doofus like me comes along, you know, with dirt on his uniform, water in the bushes at work, and just listen to Alan Watt, something clicks. That must piss some of you motherfuckers off, and I don't blame you. Because you were taught that it's work. You were taught that you had to struggle, that you had to do this and that, and then maybe if you were lucky, you'd get it. And you were put through all these ridiculous fucking motions of some of these really cerebral and complicated metaphysical paths, and there's a direct line straight to the end if you want it. If you're really ready for it, it'll just happen whether you want it to or not. You don't have to work for it. In fact, the work is just a way to put it off a little while, to make yourself feel like you earned it. Alan Watts said that. One of the wisest things he ever said. And there's nothing you can do that will wake you up. There is nothing you can do that will make you enlightened. Absolutely nothing. And there's nothing anyone can do for you. There's just ways to waste time while you're working your way towards nothing. One day it will just click. And it probably will happen when you're not even looking for it. That's what it was for me. I didn't even know what I was looking for. And ever since that day, I thought in 2016, I figured it out. Ooh, no. That was just me going on the diving board. Like I was catching some air, but I hadn't jumped off yet. I thought I did. I had felt it. I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't know what I was talking about. And this year, I really feel like I dived off that board, and I have a feeling that there's another diving board waiting for me a little bit lower. I'm going to bounce off that fucker and do it again. That's right, Jasonius. That's a good point. Not many people actually follow the old religion, which is stemmed from nature, because if you're not following nature, you're doing it wrong. But by nature, I don't necessarily mean the birds and the bees, although that is an example of the nature. I have been praised by certain people who are on a certain kind of path, who I really appreciate. And they say, you know, Thorne, you have a very good grasp of true natural law. They don't mean the birds and the bees, like, you know, when to plant your seeds and shit. They're talking about true natural law. And true natural law isn't anything like physics. It's not anything like that. It's not about when to plant your seeds. It's not these little details. It is wisdom itself. It is becoming near to and close to and united with that divine spark so that the channeling commences without intentional effort. You just quiet yourself and the truth comes out. You recognize that so much in this world is just a game created by you and other beings and forces to entertain you and itself. For every single wolf, there is a bear that will eat the wolf. And for every wolf, there's a sheep, that the sheep will be eaten by the wolf. And for every sheep, there's a little bug on a piece of leaf that the sheep's going to eat. Nature works like that. It looks like chaos at one level and it's balance at the highest. The highest thing that I have learned, besides just recognizing that consciousness is what you are and that consciousness is the fundamental reality, besides that, the highest thing I have learned is that we hear things like, you know, the as above and the so below and this and that, and they're both one. Let me correct this for you a little bit. This is something that's been important to me because this duality that we perceive is false. That's the point. So yes, the as above, you know, so above, as below, as above. Excuse me. Ooh, I'm misquoting all those things. I got to burp. As below, so above, as above, so below, right? And we have this whole idea that the question is, which one's more true, the as above or the so below? Well, the enlightened person will say both. The truly enlightened person will say neither, and the absolutely enlightened person says all the above. To say that the divine is limitless limits it to limitlessness. You get it? To even say that it's limitless is to say it is limited. To say that it is both the as above and so below denies that it can be one or the other at any time, or neither, or anything. To recognize that the ultimate nature of the absolute cannot be defined by any of these platitudes, and that these platitudes are nothing more than useful fictions that we use to entertain ourselves with a life of fulfillment. With ups and downs, and sometimes you die young with a bad circumstance, and you know, the body goes away, but the mind's still there, and it goes, ah, whoa, that sucked. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm not dead. Oh, I feel it. You know, listen to the stories of near-death experiences. They have a lot in common with each other. The specifics may vary. Like some people say, like, oh, I saw my uncle, I saw a tunnel, but there's a lot of sameness there. And that's not it either. That's just another layer of it. It's just a layer up. When I say up, I don't mean it in the hierarchical sense, the way it sounds, but that's the only word for it. From where we are, we have to put it in a hierarchy. From where it truly is, there is no hierarchy. The hierarchy's in your mind. So the greatest wisdom of all is to learn all the truths, all the secrets, and then forget them and then just live them. Take that as above, so below, mash it together and throw it away. And then just be anything, do anything, recognize that there's no limits because it's all limited and it's all limitlessness. Either word is wrong. None of them are right. So who cares? That's the Alan Watts school of enlightenment. When you listen to Alan Watts, he always leads you back eventually to this whole just be. The Nowhere Van says, be still and know that I am God. If you are saying that of yourself, then yes. Not you, the person. The person's just a projection of it. You, that which is witnessing the person, the one that is listening to the one saying it, that is God. But then so is the illusion, is it not? Is the illusion not made of the one who casts the illusion in itself? Of course. This is why you can say, I am God, and get away with it. Yeah, I've heard all that before too, Jasonius. But I don't care about that shit anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of this shit is just Da Vinci Code for goths. I'm telling you right now. A lot of this was just a way to hide the truth from the masses or from the powers that be. It was the memes of antiquity. It was the code words of the past. It was the lessons. It was the secrets. It was a way to test to make sure you were smart enough to figure shit out. It was just stuff like that. You don't need any of that. In fact, you can get so twisted up with that shit and wondering what it means and trying to, you know, and then you find like 5 different sources that say different things, and it's nobody fucking really knows. And the ones who really know, it's not that big a deal. It's like an inside joke. That doesn't mean that there's nothing to it, that it's not that it doesn't matter. It's just that if your goal is enlightenment and liberation, that doesn't matter. If your goal is to get it, not necessarily comprehend in a intellectual way. If your goal is to just transcend it, that don't matter. Sacred geometry doesn't matter. None of that shit matters. And someone's going to say, well, Thorne, if you don't know any of that stuff, how are you going to manifest your will? How does God manifest its will? How does the divine manifest anything? Do you think that Brahman, do you think that the Ein Sof, do you think that the great noose in the sky sits there and reasons out anything? It is already all things. It has nothing to reason out. It does not need math, science, equations, 666, platitudes of number, geometry, bullshit. All things are within the divine. The divine is within all things, meaning there is absolutely no form it does not take. This paradigm is defined by certain rules, but those rules are optional. The divine doesn't sit there going, I've got to create a Merkaba to be such and so next. Get the fuck out of here. You've ascribed to materialism without even knowing it, to the equivalent of materialism. You've ascribed to the idea that reality must be pushed around. You're still an ego, and you're a dumb one at that, if that's how you think. The enlightened person literally knows that they have to do nothing. They don't have to do a spell. They don't have to wish. They don't have to do law of attraction. And fuck law of attraction, by the way. Law of attraction is one of the most dead-end things I've ever read into, because it's all about ego satisfaction. It's all about getting shit. Like whenever I see on YouTube, why you're not manifesting? Oh my God. And it's always like, you've been trying to get that house that you've always wanted. Why aren't you manifesting enlightenment? Then you won't care about that, and then the house will just happen. No, Jasonius, he hasn't scripted anything. It has not scripted anything you do. You, the ego, scripts it. The divine is all things, scripted and unscripted. The divine, let me give you the model of reality that all the higher mystics will tell you. There is the divine, then there's the divine's knowledge of itself. That knowledge of itself is in the form of a mental image. That mental image doesn't look like anything, feel like anything. It is pure, what Plato would describe as form. It is the essence of abstraction, of information, if you will. Those are our words for it, but that's not what it is, but those are our words for it. The divine knows itself, and as it knows itself, a kind of mental image forms. That mental image to us, as lowly little extensions of that, appears like a hyperdimensional space-time pleroma multiverse in which all possibility and impossibility exists all at once. From the Big Bang to the heat death of the universe, it's all there already. Boom, done. That's the divine and its knowledge of itself. That is the good or the monad. And the next level, which is what? You guys know your Neoplatonism? Do you care to? If not, look it up. I'm not going to hold your hand. So there is the divine. There is the divine's image of itself. So you have Brahman and you have Maya. Maya, or nous, or soul, spirit. There's different words for it in different traditions, but we're just going to keep it simple. The divine and its image of itself. That's what Maya is. Maya is its image of itself. It's all the same thing. And that image of itself to us looks like a grand, endless, space-time, multiversal, everything that can possibly and can't possibly be. All at once, from beginning to end, a static pow of everything. It doesn't move, it doesn't change. There's no fucking script at all whatsoever, Jason. I love you, brother, but there's no script. There's zero scripting involved at all. Imagine a book that contains every possible story. You don't write that as a script. It's just infinity all at once. The scripting that you're talking about is your ego talking. Your ego says, there's something controlling me and I'm controlling it and blah, blah. Ego exists in conflict in no other way. Remove the conflict, transcend that, and suddenly, bang, you get it, you're enlightened, you're God, and it's over. In other words, you don't worry about it anymore. You don't have to decode shit. There's nothing to decode. You do as thou will. Now, to the ego, that can look like a script. I am not denying that. Down here in the trenches, everything looks like a coded script of causality and cause and effect. No doubt. Remember what I said before? The as above and the so below, both are true, none are true, both are true at the same time, neither are true at the same time, etc. It's an utter paradox. So I'm not saying you can't have the experience of a scripted thing and have great success with it. You can, brother. You absolutely can. You can visualize things as energy patterns moving around. You have to follow this rule and that rule, but you're just limited to your own hubristic scripting that you're scripting for yourself. Nothing controls you. You don't control anything because everything already is from beginning to end done, period. And it's not just one timeline. It's all timelines, both possible and impossible. All exist simultaneously as one. So why do we see what we see? Because of selective ignorance. Avidya, Maya, is shrouded by avidya. Or we could say primordial chaos is shrouded by agnosis in such a way that it reveals patterns in that infinity. That's beyond infinity. Remember what I said before, if you say it's limitless, then you're limiting it to limitlessness. It's even worse than that. It's much worse than that. It's much better than that. It sounds insane, but when it clicks, you go, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. This is why, again, those enlightened masters will tell you there's no point to any of this. And people go, well, that's horrible. There's no point to life. Instead of going, oh, shit, there's no point. It's literally open. It's all open to me, everything. Yes and no. Knowing that that anything is possible doesn't mean that you're ready to do it. It doesn't mean you're ready. It doesn't mean you want to. It doesn't mean that you have the will for it. But you have to understand, to have this experience, you must impose limit upon yourself. If you want to call that a script, go ahead, but it's only a script in your own mind. You can go off that script anytime you want. And I'm going to have to change over in about 10 minutes to the other stream, just so you guys know. And I don't mean to be argumentative with you, Jasonius. I really don't. But you're stating things as absolute truth, so I'm stating them as absolute truth. You tell me and all of the people on my page that they need to decode themselves and they have to do this, and this is the nature of reality, and you got to, okay, you're speaking objectively, so am I. We don't agree. That's fine. I'll never, ever disrespect you for disagreement alone. Ever. I love that you have your view. I think it's great. I just want to make sure you know that, because sometimes I get a little animated in how I talk and people think I'm talking bad about them, and I'm not trying to do that with you. I appreciate you, brother. I do. I hope you're hearing me now, because I don't mean anything negative. I really don't. It's just what you're talking about. I've been down that path. It leads to insanity and self-importance and egoistic delusion. You start to think that all kinds of weird shit, and you start going cuckoo. Right. Whoever, M or Azaz both already exist and neither exist. Trust me. It's a giant paradox. It's so paradoxical, it's not. This is why the enlightened laugh and cry at the same time when they figure it out. It's really obvious. It's really simple, but that's why it's hard. It's like seeing air. You can't see it, but it's there, and you're looking at it, but you don't. It's self-evident, but you don't see it. Because you're not supposed to. You've decided to shroud your absolute omnipotence in ignorance. I love you, Morgan. Morgan's such a dick. Hey, Morgan. Morgan says, DH Thorne's attacking me. All I'm trying to do is support him. Demiurge and eat my juicy steak. God damn it. Love you, Morgan, brother. How you doing? Like I said, I'm a little animated tonight, so if I sound like I'm attacking anybody, I don't mean to be. I am, like right now, Jasonius, I just see words on a screen, and I'm responding to things people are saying. Same thing to Morgan and stuff. I'm just responding to shit. Sometimes I got to catch myself. Like, I'm not so arrogant that I don't know that. I know I got to catch myself. And I'm not saying, so here's the thing, okay? We have to distinguish between truth and useful fiction. So let's now take that and make that like the logo of today's talk. You have to learn the difference, or at least where the talk's going to go now. You have to learn the difference between the truth and a useful fiction. The absolute truth cannot be comprehended by the mind. It can only be known. And by known, I mean simply shut the fuck up and be. And the truth will be known to you. It doesn't take any effort. So, a useful fiction is valid only insofar as you recognize it as a fiction. The moment you take it for the absolute truth in itself, you're fucked. The moment you say reality is this, you've already lied to yourself. You're fucked. The moment you say the only way is to do it this way, you've already fucked yourself. You're done. You're done. You've utterly failed. Completely. I don't care if you have power to snap your fingers and make a mountain walk. You've still failed. because that is not the truth. Until you know the truth, the fiction rules you. Think about that. The truth sets you free. The fiction entraps you. Unless you already know the truth and you know that the fiction is either useful or not. So all of our metaphysics, all of our magical rituals, methods, coding, decoding, using this method, that method, all of it is a useful fiction. It is a tool. It is a way to get where we want to go in this illusion, and we recognize that's what it is. It's like playing a video game. The video game appears to have rules, but the video game itself is not the rules, right? The rules of the video game are on the computer. The computer is the reality of the game, not the readout, not the display. It can look like you got to press X to whatever. But the actuality of the fact is it's a bunch of sparks moving around in a system.
You got a super chat, you have 6 minutes.
Okay. Patchwork, $5. Hey, brother, what'd I miss? Nothing much. Just me going off and ranting on some bullshit. I love you, Jay Baldale. Thorne's a Christian now. I mean, I just said on Facebook today, I got no beef with Christianity, the fundamental principle. My problem is how it's prosecuted and the lies that are told and the corruption that's in it and the way Abrahamic tradition has been used as a system of control. And instead of being enlightenment anymore, it's all about how to be a good little citizen that does what you're told. A set of rules. Jasonius, I get what you're saying. He says, I've never said it's the only way. I've advised people to try things out. Another piece of the puzzle is solved. Fair enough. I will say, though, on a lot of the posts that you respond to, it doesn't sound like an option. But I get what you're trying to do. So I want to make sure I'm being clear. I believe you. I believe that that's your point. I do. So I accept that. But my point is that I see this all over the community where you see people just like they speak in a way where they sound a little bit like me saying it's this way. But if you really listen closely, when I say it's this way, I'm not saying anything. I want you to really linguistically pick apart what I say for a minute. I'm telling you that the absolute truth is an absolute paradox that's so paradoxical that it's not. Does that make any fucking sense to anybody? Does that make analytical sense to any? Does that make rational sense to you? I'm not telling you what it is. I'm pointing at it with words so you can find it. So when I say it's this way, what I mean is it's over there. It's this way, guys. It's this way. I'm not saying it's this way. I'm saying it's this way. Really pull apart what I'm telling you. That's why when people say the universe and reality is all vibration, frequency, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's fine as a model. It's a useful metaphor. I use it too. I've never denied using it. In fact, I'm going to start using it a little bit more fervently now because I've sort of reached a point where I'm like, okay, I get the picture now. Now I want to start applying things a little differently. But that is a useful fiction. In the absolute sense, it is none of those things. It just looks that way. Just like it looks like Link hit a monster with his sword, and so you could say the world of Zelda is a guy with a sword smacking monsters with a sword. But that's not what Zelda is. That's not the thing in itself. That is its manifestation. The thing in itself is something more transcendent, more fundamental. And that thing cannot be defined.
You got another super chat.
Patchy says, it's the fanatics you got to watch out for when it comes to religion in general. You got to watch out for fanatics, period. Worgen, you're spoiling me. That's too much, dude. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. You gave me the Rocket Man. Woohoo! Is that Kim Jong? Is that Kim Jong-un? It looks like him. All right, we're going to switch over to the other stream in a second. So I'm going to invite all of you guys who are here now And anyone who is watching after the fact, again, go to the link in the description. It's the very first thing. It says second half here. I want all of you guys to go there now. You can stay here until I turn this off, but go there now. Get yourself set up. Make sure you like and subscribe me on Rumble. It's also in the pinned comment at the top. So get set up over there. In about a minute, I'm going to turn this off. And I hope that I see all of you guys over there. And I want you guys to pay special attention to the difference in how many people are watching it on here versus on there. And I want you to tell me why you think I had that, because we're going to talk a little bit more political on the other side. We'll still talk spirituality, but we're going to transition to shit that YouTube doesn't like on the other side, okay? So, Jasonium, I love you, brother. Thank you. And I see you. And he says, I get excited when I discover things about myself. I do too, man. And I am eager to share what I've found out about myself since we're all heading. You damn right we are. In fact, we're already there. The secret is, remember, like I said, it's a kind of primordial ignorance that makes reality manifest in a positive way. But the truth is, what you see as reality is a negative of reality. It's something that appears only when it is shrouded. True reality doesn't look like anything at all. But it looks like everything, right? All right, I'll see you guys over on the other side in just a minute. So have your other questions ready. Hopefully I don't fuck this up, because making that transition is difficult because I got to adjust a few things in the background. But with any luck, I will be up and running in about a minute. So I'll see you guys there